Thanks, Wendy, and again, welcome. We're going to structure this webinar into three major parts. I'm going to give a short introduction where we are at the moment. You see that already on the slide, which is about trends. Then I will go into a variety of cybersecurity test strategies along the different abstraction levels. And I will also give a concrete hands-on case study. Obviously, it's a dense topic, and so if you need more information, feel free to contact me afterwards. Let me start with where we are and what are the trends. We just finished our annual survey for this year, and we label it Innovation in Stormy Waters because what we can see is that on the one side, it's very obvious companies really demand innovation. You see it's both the short-term challenge as well as the long-term challenge. As this horizontal axis is short-term, the vertical axis is the long-term. The big theme, both short and long-term, is innovation. This picture looked pretty much the same last year, with one very big exception, which is the whole topic of innovation, much lower. It was somewhere here. And that means last year we had all these topics with quality, cost, and components much higher. So that was the typical reaction at the beginning of the crisis. You remember 2019 onwards, the economic situation in many business became more difficult. And from here onwards, it was clear last year was a big pressure on cost. Now things have changed. Competitiveness and innovation is considered relevant. And this is the good news, because that means we now see, if you want, light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, we have the pandemic still ongoing, which is terrible, but people, industries see now a light. And that's the good news. And this is also why we see in our survey from industry, which we did with IEEE Software, which is a big journal in different IT and software domains. We see a clear highlight here, which is also one important topic, because if you go back to last year with all this pressure, then I suggested we are really in the risk in many companies over which is circle. And I saw that happening throughout the year. I saw many companies which focused on cost savings for all reasons. That's natural in a situation like last year. Yet, if we are in a cost pressure in a red ocean, if we are lacking competencies, and we try to hurry in projects, and the normal consequence is that you have low quality. In critical domains, be it medical, be it automotive, be it transport, be it anything else, this means you have severe liability risk. And that's exactly what happened. So we were often called into task forces because software could not be integrated, because some cybersecurity risk materialized. They lacked methods on testing, etc., and so they asked us to help. And companies were in a crisis mode, that's obvious, but at the same time, this was amplified by the wrong reaction, because if you rush and you make errors, this is certainly not really helping you in the crisis. And that's also the reason why I show this chart, because specifically cybersecurity is very much impacted by insufficient focus on doing things right from the beginning and not just wait until you get defect reports afterwards. And that's maybe the most important takeaway from this slide, which is, yes, we see light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, we are still in stormy waters. Yes, we don't know whether there will be a third wave or not with COVID. But what we know for sure is that we have to focus on quality, because as the old saying goes, cost is long forgotten when quality still persists. And this is what drives this presentation, that I want to give you an insight into cybersecurity testing techniques, but also give you some hints how to implement that in the life cycle, because the whole thing also should be still cost effective. So I will also focus on how can we balance the cost, how can we focus in testing, and I will introduce you to a method which we have actually developed over the past 2-3 years, but really grown in 2020, which is what we call gray box pen test. Of course, it's a nice mix of the brute force, which is normally used in security testing, but at the same time also some sort of architectural vulnerability analysis, which we do upfront. So that's the story here, and obviously talking about cybersecurity risk, this is also amplified by the huge complexity growth which we see currently. We have this term ACES, which stands for major trends which we have: autonomy, connectivity, ecology, and services, which apply to most disciplines. I'm not going into much detail now, because the more we connect, the more interface we have, the more cybersecurity. So that's an obvious situation. But ecology as a trend also grows now, and that means we have, generally speaking, a lot of situations where we have critical systems, where we have liability risks, and we have to ensure that we have sufficient hardening, sufficient cybersecurity on our focus. The impact on business, which we can see in the middle of this picture, is that we have more fluid business models, that we have high service orientation, which, by the way, also applies into SOA and other architectures now really run across different industries. And that's, by the way, the lead theme, what we call the convergence of the business IT and the product IT. In the old days, you could basically split. You could say, okay, we have embedded systems, we have IT, and they have some connection. Today, these connections are so interwoven that you cannot anymore really split the two. When we do anything embedded, there's always a connection into cloud services, into software updates, into specifically for cybersecurity, security patches, etc. And that means this convergence of the product IT, this is what we see in the product, and the business IT, which is the cloud services, the back office, etc. This creates an additional risk, because any way which allows us to break into one of the two, let's say, half of the same metal, would immediately also impact the other one. And that means with all this continuous X, which we now see across the industries, we focus on speed, which is good, but at the same time, we also have less possibility to really harden our systems. And this has also to be balanced. And it's not a sufficient answer to say, let's just automate. Yes, for sure, we have to automate. We have to build in our Jenkins pipelines, etc., more and more security tests. But nevertheless, we also have to harden the software. And we have many customers which work in safety-critical domains, which see a need on one side, because of cybersecurity, to be as fast as possible to close the risks which appear with software which is, let's say, flawed. But at the same time, they also are afraid if they rush with a delivery and the safety case is not updated, the liability in terms of a defect.
Hi there, hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Maludis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also gaining complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year, but if you use the coupon code LEARN2EARN, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time, and best wishes for your continued success.